The prosecution rested yesterday after 25 days of presenting their case against Larry Millete for the murder of his wife, Maya. As a reminder, Maya's body has never been found. So this is really difficult to prove. But after hearing all of their evidence, and I know everyone is innocent until proven guilty, if I were sitting in the jury box right now, I think they have proven this. I'm working from a lot of notes here today because I'm going to do a full recap of everything you missed over the last 25 days or 29 videos. If I were on the jury, everything I'm about to present to you would tell me that Larry had the motive, he had the means, he had the opportunity, he sought out methods. There's evidence that he was looking for ways to do it. And there were noticeable signs of escalation over the last year of Maya Millete's life. We've seen nearly 60 witnesses take the stand, so I've broken them down in sort of clusters by type of person. So for example, I put like the police and the investigators all together. We find out from the police officers and investigators who took the stand that they had spoken to 68 different people, witnesses who had stories. They executed more than 50 search warrants and they followed up more than 100 tips that had been called in. Larry was named a person of interest in July of 2021. Again, she went missing in January. And then after a 9-month exhaustive investigation, they arrested Larry finally in October of 2021. They testified on the stand things like when they entered the home, they discovered that Maya's purse, her credit cards, her personal items were found in the home except the phone. Nobody's ever found her home. But there was no sign of departure, meaning there's no sign that she packed a bag. There's no sign she didn't leave a note. She didn't say goodbye to anybody. There were no signs that she made any plans to leave on her own. There was also no crime scene. So it's fair to say there was no crime scene, but there was also no sign of departure. They served a warrant on his car to find it was unusually clean. And I'm going to explain why later in this video. They also, on one of the search warrants, went back to the home and found 2 vials, one of which contained hemlock. Talk more about that in a moment. They also found out that Maya had plans, meaning through all of the people they talked to, from all the things they found, she had future appointments. So she had appointments with attorneys to seek a divorce. She was seeing a therapist and had set up future appointments. She was working with a photographer so that that photographer could take professional photos of her and the kids. She was planning her daughter's birthday party in Big Bear. She was planning with friends to go on travel and celebrate her 40th birthday later that year. Maya had plans. Maya did not disappear. Several of her friends and coworkers testified, and some of these are direct quotes. Quote, if anything happens, it was Larry. Quote, Maya was exhausted. He wouldn't leave her alone. Quote, she wasn't in love with her husband anymore. They told stories of him constantly monitoring her, using a calendar, a Google calendar, to track her. Maya told her boss she was going through a separation. She had another friend that said that they met to discuss estate planning, and Maya admitted to her that she had absolutely no control over her own financial situation. She had no idea where the money was, what accounts it was, and she had no access to it. Quote, Larry handled everything. The friends all said, and the coworkers all said, that Maya and Jamie had hidden their affair from work. There was only one woman and one boss that knew about the affair, but Larry did threaten to expose them. Quote, Larry monitored Maya's social media. He acted as her. He behaved like he was her in their group chats. And then he blocked some of her friends from social media so she could no longer contact them. Quote, one of them said, Maya said, quote, I'm afraid Larry will hurt the children to hurt me. Larry's boss took the stand, and we found out that he deleted text messages that Larry had sent to him on January 5th, January 6th, January 7th, leading up to Maya's disappearance. And then Maya's family took the stand. So it was her dad, 2 of her sisters, 2 of her brothers, 1 brother-in-law, 1 sister-in-law. Collectively between this group, we learned that one of the brothers went to look for Maya at the home on the day of the disappearance. Larry seemed very unconcerned, said he was at work all day and that his phone had died. 3 different family members testified that Larry told them he had a gun and he was looking to kill somebody. He wanted to use it. 3 testified that Larry had at one time or another discussed with them the options of paying somebody, a hitman, to get rid of Jamie Laird. Maya had moved out of their family home in May of 2020, which started a wild, frantic, this is probably the kickoff of Larry's true escalation. They all testified that Maya and Larry had been fighting at all of the family gatherings all the way through Christmas. Sister Mary Chris said she was the one that had to call the police because Larry seemed unconcerned that his wife went hiking on the morning of the 8th and had never returned. So on the night, almost midnight on January 9th is when they finally called the police, and it wasn't Larry who did it. They also testified that Larry didn't join any of the searches the search parties when they were looking for her. Larry did speak with sister-in-law Genesis about hemlock. He was asking her questions about plants that could kill people, there could be deadly. She really honestly believed he was talking about himself and self-harm, not harming Maya. And I'm clearly going to run out of time, so this is probably going to go 2 videos because I still have 2 more pages of notes. Different evidence that was found. So we discovered that Maya's phone no longer had service as of January 7th. Her last call was at 5:48 p.m. Her last search, like her last Google search, was at 8:12 p.m. That search had to do with alimony payments and mortgage costs in the state of California, as if she was looking up details for how to divorce her husband, how she could financially survive. There were later discovered to be an audio surveillance of a neighbor's surveillance camera that picked up sounds, what sounded like gunshots, after 10 p.m. that same night. Maya's phone is turned off at 1:25 a.m. and is never ever turned back on, and is never ever recovered. Larry's phone was manually turned off for 12 hours on January 8th. We discovered that Maya had no control over her finances. She had no access to any of the money from their accounts. Larry was spending their savings on crypto coin. Larry washed his car 14 times in 7 days. This was all the financial people telling us this. Larry did try to get a neighbor to fix the scratches on his car that they believe were got on the car from when he was out in the desert somewhere trying to dispose of Maya. A bunch of people testified that hemlock is very deadly. Even a small amount could kill, and there is no practical use for it. There's no reason for anybody to gather and collect hemlock and keep it in their home. Maya was also seeing a therapist, and he talked about different types of control. What Maya was explaining to him, he testified, was definitely domestic abuse, especially the financial control. He heard testimony of both Jamie Laird and his wife, or his now ex-wife, Patricia. Jamie Laird was Maya's affair partner. We learned that the physical affair happened just within a couple of months of after him going to work with her, but he does have an alibi. They were both at the hospital. Patricia was having a baby. They checked in on January 7th when she went into labor. The baby was born on the 8th, and they were at the hospital until January 10th. In June of 2020, Jamie and Maya were caught by Larry because Larry had been tracking Maya's movements. They were discovered to be sitting in a parking lot in Jamie's truck, talking to each other. Maya was crying. It later was revealed on testimony from Genesis that a couple days before the truck incident, Maya had been homesick, couldn't barely get out of bed. Genesis found out that Maya had had an abortion. Jamie testified that they had coordinated their denials. They never had any falling out, so Jamie doesn't have any sort of motive whatsoever. In fact, he confessed on the stand that he had been in love with Maya. But he had reconciled with Patricia. They had that baby and then went on to have a second baby. He did talk to Maya in January before her disappearance, and he said she sounded defeated, that she was absolutely getting a divorce, but Larry was making it very difficult. Patricia, for her part, did not believe there was an affair. She saw no signs. She saw no evidence. And when she finally called Maya to ask about the affair, Maya denied it, but said that Larry was acting crazy, and Patricia offered Maya police support. Can I get you a restraining order? Is there something I can help you with? And Maya denied her help, which now we know she should have taken it. Please come back from part 2 because there's so much more to tell you.